Welcome back to another episode of Sip2Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today we've reached the conclusion of our Sip2Tally Top 50 Players of 2023. So we're doing number 8 through number 1. Then we're going to pop over and jump on the more Sip2Tally. I think we're on number 8 on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings. Let me see. We're on number 7 on the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings. So here we're going to hit the conclusion. The top 8 players on the Sip2Tally best 50 players of 2023. Let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and get started. I appreciate everybody for coming through. And if you're watching the replay, hit the like button. If you're here with me live now, I think the only person I see so far is Bazel. So appreciate you for jumping in. And anybody else in here, check in. Throw a comment up there, check in, let me know you're here. And let's go ahead and fire this thing up. We'll start with number 8 because we normally do 7, but today we have one extra. So we're going to start right into it. Get right into it. You transition. There we go. So number 8, Michael Parsons. 106 pressures, 16 sacks, 19 QB hits, 71 hurries. Michael Parsons was a second-team All-Pro, a Pro Bowl, and 3rd in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. We all know what Micah can do off the edge. You put him in the middle of the defense. They even bagged him up and played him a little bit at linebacker. But Micah is probably one of the most athletic. Well, I'm gonna change that. Mike is probably one of the best athletes in the NFL right now. You saw him on this tour when him and CJ Stroud went to Japan or whatever, and they were just doing all these different things. But then he has his podcast too. Micah is one of the most athletic, the most feared defenders in the NFL today. I think this kid could do darn near anything on the football field. Not necessarily, quarterback or receiver, stuff like that. But I believe he can play running back. I believe he can play tight end. I believe he can play off-ball linebacker. I believe he can play middle linebacker. Play some 3 technique. This dude's freaking athlete. His signature game last year was in Week 11 versus the Panthers. He had 3 sacks and 6 hurries. So the number 8 is Michael Parsons. Scratch Micah off my list so I don't double back. All right, let's go to number 7. Josh Allen. Now, much as I dislike the battle that it was with him and Lamar for MVP last year, I gotta say that he's a very good football player. And this is not, this is me being real about the top players in the league. Josh Allen's a darn good football player. And if he don't turn it over as much, he'd probably be higher on this list. If he didn't turn it over as much, he'd probably be higher on this list because this dude, when you take your purple shades off, he's hard to stop. He's really hard to stop with that rifle arm. And then when you do cover the guys up that he's throwing to, he can run the ball too. This dude's really hard to stop. He really gets in his own way by trusting his arm so much. He has so much faith in his arm, he throws the ball in the places he shouldn't be throwing the ball. And that's part of his problem. That's why he throws so many interceptions. But as far as his stats last year, he was 432 for 732. That's 66.7% of his passes, 4,696 yards, 33 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He was 5th in MVP voting. He was 6th in Offensive Player of the Year voting. And his signature game last year, Week 18 game versus the Dolphins, he was 30 for 38, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also threw 2 interceptions. But that was his best game of the year, and it came when they needed it, late in the year, Week 18. That's number 7, Josh Allen. What up, Julian, Curtis, Yolanda? I appreciate you guys for jumping in. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Go to number 6. The freak of nature. The freak of nature. Here. Myles Garrett. 89 pressures. 15 sacks, 14 QB hits, 39 defensive stops. He was 10th in the MVP voting. He was the defensive player of the year, AP All-Pro first team, and made the Pro Bowl. We all know, being Ravens fans, how much of a nuisance this dude is. And he wasn't that just to us. He was that to the rest of the league. The Cleveland Browns play a lot of man-to-man, a lot of cover one, a lot of cover one robber, a lot of cover zero. This dude is the reason they do that, because there's nobody in the NFL that can block this man consistently one-on-one. They know if he can beat his guy, they don't have to cover long. He's the reason they can do that. And so Miles' signature game last year was week 3 versus the Titans. He had 4 sacks in one game and 5 defensive stops versus the Titans. Like, this dude, I really love that play where they put him over the center. He was faking like he was playing basketball, and then still did the crossover in front of the center and went got the sack. He's unblockable consistently. He can't be consistently blocked by anybody. You got to put a bunch of resources over there if you want to block Myles Garrett. And he's number 6 on this countdown. He mocked number 6 off. Myles Garrett. Shit. Myles is the scariest guy in the league for me. And we got, Myles is one of the scariest ones. Definitely. Let's go to number 5. Our very own, Lamar Action Jackson. Freaky L. 343 out of 516. That's 66.5% completion percentage. Threw for 4,102 yards. And these stats include the playoffs too. 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He also rushed for 975 yards and 7 touchdowns. He was the MVP. He was 4th in offensive player of the year voting. First team All-Pro and Pro Bowl. We all know what we get week in and week out with Lamar. That his signature game for me was also versus the Dolphins, just like Josh Allen. So the Dolphins got the business week 17 from Lamar and week 18 from Josh Allen. Week 17 versus the Dolphins, Lamar was 18 for 21. So he only had 3 incompletions, 321 yards and 5 touchdowns. We had a Jackson 5 in week 17 versus the Dolphins. And to me, that's what solidified Lamar being the MVP. That the week before that versus the 49ers, and then this game versus the Dolphins kind of solidified him being an MVP because he didn't play week 18. So number 5 for me is Lamar Jackson. See, I ain't biased. I could have put Lamar 1 and everybody would have said I ain't biased. I'm trying to keep it 100 over here. All right, number 4, the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. 175 targets, 124 catches, 1,861 yards, 15 yards per catch, 14 TDs. He was 6th in the MVP voting, 2nd in Offensive Player of the Year. He was an All-Pro first team and a Pro Bowler. And this is probably one of the most dangerous guys in the NFL. Like, you can't get the ball in his hands enough. And he came in the NFL as a return guy and has made himself one of the most deadliest, one of the most dangerous guys in the NFL, one of the most feared guys in the NFL. Signature game I have for Tyreek Hill, week 1 versus the Chargers. 11 catches, 215 yards, 19.5 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns, which is crazy. And he's 139 yards away from 2,000 yards in the season, which is crazy. 139 yards from 2,000 yards in the season. That's crazy. All right. Number 3. Our number 3 guy. Matter of fact, let's do what Streamlabs say. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And more Sip2Tally power rankings are coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's get into this top 3 right quick. Let's get into this top 3. Justin Jefferson. Jay Jettas. He was featured in the Netflix thing Receivers. He had 98 targets, 68 catches, 1,074 yards, 15.8 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns. Now, I got to explain myself. Why is he over Tyreek Hill? Justin Jefferson only played like 10 games. He only played like 10 games because he was hurt. I forgot what he hurt his hamstring, and then when he came back, he hurt his ribs or something. So he didn't play like 10, maybe 11 games. And he still got 1,000 yards, still got 5 touchdowns, 15.8 yards per catch. And when this dude playing, And they play with garbage quarterbacks. Play with garbage quarterbacks. Because Kurt's average. Kurt's average. Then when he came back, he had what's my guy with the with no eyebrows? I can't think his name. Then he went down. Then they had two other just random guys to go in there. I think they ended up with my guy from Southern Miss. So he ended up with all kind of Jimmy's and not Joe's playing quarterback and still got 1,000 yards. A signature game for him, in which the game he got 1,000 yards was Week 18 versus the Lions, and we know the Lions were a little bit away from going to Super Bowl. 12 catches, 192 yards and a touchdown, 16 yards per catch versus the Lions in the Week 18 game. And if he's healthy all year long, and they good quarterback play, I think he get 2,000 yards. If he's healthy and Kurt's healthy all year long, he get 2,000 yards. But he wasn't. Kurt's gone. Now they got a rookie at quarterback. He is now the highest paid receiver in the NFL too. But they got a rookie quarterback, so I don't know if Jay Jettas is gonna thank you, Blackula. Dobbs and Mullen. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. I can always count on Blackula to come through with when I had him brain farts. I thank you, big dog. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. Jay Jettas. All right, number 2. CMC. CMC last year is well, not last year, every year is the do everything back. He is the all-purpose, catch everything, run everything. Like, just look at his numbers. 331 carries, 1,727 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, 18 touchdowns, and then catching the ball at the backfield, 86 catches, 716 yards, 8 touchdowns. He was third in MVP voting. He Offensive Player of the Year, AP First Team, and the Pro Bowl. What can't Christian McCaffrey do? If y'all remember, CMC played quarterback the playoff game last year a little bit when their quarterbacks got hurt. So there ain't much this cat can't do on the football field. He catch it, run it. He's the all-purpose dude. Probably, and if I'm not mistaken, he probably led the league in all-purpose yards, probably. Because that's 2,400 and right at 40 yards. I'm just quick math right there. That's like 2,440 yards right there off the top of my head. I know that math is a little bit off, but it's in the ballpark figure. A signature game for CMC. Week 1 versus the Steelers. 22 carries, 152 yards, 6.9 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. He had 125 yards after contact versus the Steelers in Week 1, which is crazy. 125 yards after contact. And again, he's just as explosive catching the ball as he is running the ball. CMC is number 2. So we all know who number 1 is. Let fake drum roll, please. Patty Mahomes boy, as they say. Patrick Mahomes, 67.7% completion percentage, 5,234 yards. And remember, these stats include playoffs too. 33 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He was 7th in the MVP voting, Pro Bowl. Now, he didn't have the regular season that we've known Pat Mahomes to have because they kind of ran the ball a little bit more because their receivers was dropping everything in the regular season. Didn't drop a darn thing in the playoffs, but dropped everything in the regular season. And so he didn't have the MVP numbers that Mahomes had in the regular season. But in the playoffs, he just went ape you know what. So his signature game last year was also against the Chargers in Week 7. 32 for 42, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. So on my list, Pat Mahomes is the number 1 guy. It's tough to beat this dude. Now, you know, Lamar won the MVP, but if we're going to keep it a stack, anytime this dude is playing, you'd be hard-pressed to bet against him. Hard-pressed to bet against him. And let's wrap up 1 through 8, and we'll go into the more Sip2Tally power rankings. So number 1, well, let's go back. Yeah, number 1 was Pat. We can start here. I'm going to just go through it real quick. CJ, 50. We'll just keep it moving. I ain't going to even call them out because we pressed for time so you can see them all. If you need to pause it, do so. Jeffrey Simmons, Dak, Jair, Zach Martin, I forget my defensive tackle from Carolina right here with all the tackles. Saquon, JT, Cooper, Rowe. Who is that? Bates. That's my guy from Macomb. I forget his name. Kelsey, Sertan, Penne, Amon Ra, Kyle, King Henry, McDuffie. No, yeah, McDuffie. No, it's Debo. No, it's McDuffie. McDuffie. Worse. Wingfield, Sauce, Sexy Dexy, Fred, Kittle. This part of the countdown was sponsored by San Francisco. Bosa, Max, Quinnen, Mike Evans, AJ, Trent, CD, Joe, Watt, Jamar, Micah, Josh, Miles, Lamar, Tyreek, Jettas, CMC, and number 1, Pat Mahomes. So that's the whole 50 right there. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Let's go over to the more Sip2Tally power rankings for number 7. And I'll see y'all over there. I appreciate y'all. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't done so. And I'll see y'all soon, man. Peace and love.